Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Mauricio Cadavid. I'm a senior instructional designer with Academic Technologies and Innovation. And in this very short video, I hope to show you a couple of tips about adding content in your Canvas course. To begin with, you will see that in Canvas, the structure of the content is presented on the front page, for students to have access. There is no longer a folder or a learning module structure as there was in Blackboard. Therefore, we need to look at ways to organize the content in a way that makes sense for the students. To do that, everything is presented as a module. This is just simply an example of what a module would look like. And the module is the front page. The way that you do that is, to begin with, there is this blue button on the top right-hand corner where you just click on adding a module. You can give the name of the module. We'll call that, week 4, for example, with the date of that week. You can choose to lock that module until a particular date if you don't want students to access it, until a particular date. Or you can add prerequisites. And by prerequisites, you can say, I want students to read the Start Here page, or I want students to go through module 1. If there is a quiz, for example, at the end of one particular module, the module prior, let's say week 4, you could actually select that item there and say the students will not have access to module 4 until they complete the quiz. And then, of course, with the quiz, it would be a condition, meaning it has to either pass, or if it is scored quiz, a particular percentage of the points, for them to add to be able to go into week 4. You're going to go ahead and click on add the module. And the first time that you add a module is going to look like this. You can add content directly into the module here. So it says drop files here to add a module or choose files. If you have not uploaded content into your Canvas course and you still have it on your computer, then you could just simply drag and drop, from the folder that you have into this section here, or you can just simply choose those files. It would open up, your computer, whatever you have your files, and then you can upload them there. Now, before you can actually put them here, the files are going to be in your files folder. And to access your files folder is going to be on your left-hand side. So files are the smallest form, right, that we have of content here. Everything that you have in your course will be uploaded here. Images, uploaded media, PDFs, anything is going to be selected here. If you do not have the file here, you would be able to upload it from your computer by simply clicking on that upload file. You will click there, and again, you can see the same thing that is coming up, for you to select the files. You can also create a folder if you want to, of, let's say, files for week 1, files for week 2, or readings or materials needed for project, etc. And then keep your folders organized that way. Again, you can go directly into the files, and then you can upload the files there. Once you have those files, like in this case, for example, there is a PDF here, online discussion facilitation guidelines, right? I'm going to go back to the module. Here's where the module is. And then I'm going to click on this plus sign. If you can see it, it's on the right of the where it says week 4 and the date. I'm going to click there, and then you're going to see that this window is going to open up. This is an item window, which means that anything that is an item in your course, you're going to have access to it here. If it is assignments, you would choose from an assignment. Now, it doesn't mean that you're bringing the assignment here into this module. It means that you are linking, to the assignments page from this module, right? If it is a quiz, works the same. But right now, we're talking about files, right? So I'm going to add a file. That means that I have to select file, and then it's going to show me anything that is a file in the course. In this case, I have a lot of images, but I have this PDF, which is the online discussions. I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to say add item. Now here is my, my PDF. Now, while I'm here, I want to show you a couple of things. For students to be able to view the content that you put in here, if you're not doing a date, that means that the content here is not published yet. You can tell that by this little icon on the right-hand corner. If I click on publish, it turns into a green check mark. That means that students have now access to this. If I don't want the students to have access to this week or anything in the week, I simply unpublish it. We have an example here on modules and pages, for example. Everything that is under this module, you know, this media comments, welcome, an assignment, a discussion, a quiz, etc. It's under that particular module. I can just simply click and unpublish that, and then students won't be able to see it. If I want students to be able to see what is in here, I can just simply publish it, and then you'll notice that now, you know, students will have access to it. Similarly, if I don't want students to have access, for example, to this quiz, but I want them to have access to what is in this module, I will just simply unpublish, you know, that particular quiz, and then students won't have access to it. With everything in Canvas, you're still going to have options for edit, to remove it, you can copy it, etc. So thus far, we've talked about how to add a module, because in the module is where you're going to put the content that students are going to have access to. You don't want to give students access to your files, right? You don't want this file section here to be available to students. That's why it shows that it's not visible to students, because imagine if a student clicks there or anywhere from the course, they will have access to everything that you have in your course, and it's going to look like this. So by default, this is not available, but this will be your repository for anything that is an item or a file. Now, the next thing that you could actually do, let's say that you don't want to just simply give the students an article, in this case, you know, the PDF. You want to organize it in a more meaningful way. What you can then do is create a page. And so everything that you're going to see like this, right, in Canvas, it's considered a page. When you click on pages, it's going to take you to our default front page, which is the getting started. You can just simply click where it says view all pages on the top left corner. And everything that you have created will be a page here. So as you can see, we have a bunch of pages. All of these pages come from a template, you know, that we have for faculty who have never used Canvas to help them organize their course a little bit into how things are going to be. So, you know, as you can see, for example, these are newer pages. I'm going to click on this one, which is welcome from professor, right? This is now a page. I can do my introduction here. I can have, you know, URLs to a YouTube video, etc. And then you will see how this looks like. So just real quick, going back to modules, everything that you see here, you'll start to learn that the icons, you know, in this particular page, for example, in this particular module, these are pages, right? So when I click on getting started, this is a page. I have my next button. Here's my next, you know, page, right? So all of this is content, right? But the content is organized in pages so that you don't simply just add, you know, a particular link to an article. You can still do it, right? And when students are right here, they're going to click on that online discussion, and this is how it will look like, right? You know, there's the online discussion. Students have access to this. It's embedded within Canvas, but you notice that it doesn't look very, you know, pleasing, right, or organized. So what we want to do is to create a page. And to create the page, I'm simply going to go back to modules, right? I want to create a page, you know, for this week 4. So I'm going to go over to pages. I'm going to go to view all pages. And similar to almost everything that you will do in Canvas, there's going to be a blue button on the top right-hand corner. I'm going to click there and I'm going to create, this particular page. And let's say that this page is going to be called guidelines for online discussions. I can then tell, I can just tell, write a message for the students here. And then tell the students, this is an article I want you to read about online discussions. Now, this is also part of adding content, right? And what we are doing is we're creating a pages to organize the content, and we are going to give students the opportunity to be, to stay within the page and be more organized with regards to where they go. So now what I can do is I can give the name of the article here, right? We want to stay away from, click here, right? We don't want to do this. This is under universal design, sort of principles that you can learn later. I'm just going to name article here. I'm going to highlight, the text that I want. And now I'm going to go over to this little link in which I am going to be able to either, link it into a course link on external links, but because this is an actual document, I'm going to go to where it says insert. Because this is a document, is going to ask me, do you want to upload the document, or is this something that you already have? We already have the document, so I'm going to go to course documents, and now it's going to show me that in the file section, these are all the documents that I have, right? And it recognizes that there are PDFs, etc. So I'm going to select the online discussion one. Now you can see that it's highlighting it. Now the discussion, is the link is added here. I'm going to click on save. Now the page looks like this. Later on, there's going to be other videos with regards to accessibility, and we will discuss, all of these little icons here for accessibility. So this is what the page now looks like. I'm going to go over to my modules. I'm going to go back to the module, and I'm going to click on that plus sign. And this time I'm going to go to page because I want to add a page, right? And the name of the page that, any of the pages that we've created will be right here. And let's see, now I got to remember the name of the page that I just created. Give me just one quick second. I know that is among all of these different things here. Here's my guidelines for online discussion. Add an item. It is not published, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on that little publish there. I'm going to select this little drag option. I'm going to put it right here. And now this is how it looks like. When the students come to the page, it's going to say, there's your message for the students. This is an article I want you to read. The students has the option of clicking on the article and it will open up this way. Or the students can click on the download and it will look like that. So this is the difference between how we would create the pages and add content to that versus how you just simply provide the students with the article. Now, in the previous page, you could say it in this page, next page will be the, the document that I want you to read or something, but it becomes a little bit cumbersome. So you can actually just put it here within the page. And so what we've covered in this quick tutorial is creating a module by using the plus module there, uploading files into your files folder, creating a page into the pages section, and adding both, a direct link to the article or a page into the module. You still have other options, as I mentioned before, to add as an assignments, discussions, text headers, external URLs, external tools, etc. And this has been a quick tutorial on how to start adding some basic elements to your Canvas course.